The art and science of teaching is complex. We work to improve our craft on a daily basis because the students in our care depend on us. One way to take specific steps in the journey of continuous improvement is to lean into our professional learning communities. We've all heard of PLCs and we all meet in PLCs, but is the work of our team as meaningful and as impactful as it can be? This short video explores what a PLC is and offers insights into the how and what of the work of PLCs. To begin, what the heck is a PLC? Professional Learning Community. Professionals reflect on their unique role with students, determine how they will meaningfully impact student growth, and are dedicated in the self-direction of their improvement. As an educator, it's essential that we continue to learn new strategies and techniques, updated content and tools, and continue to refine our understanding of the developmental needs of the students in our care. The learning we do must influence the decisions we make on a daily basis to impact student learning. A group of people sharing common attitudes, interests, and goals who work together to plan ideas and implement actions aimed at improving our craft, thereby influencing student success. In short, a PLC is a group of people engaged in common learning who work together to impact student growth. So what does a high-functioning PLC team look like? And more importantly, how do we take the next step in our growth? Among the first attributes of a PLC to work through is the refining of the synergy of the team. How well does your team work together? In order to improve the synergy of the team, often it's helpful to take time to create norms or protocols. When you do, consider these questions. What commitments do we make when we dedicate time to our PLC? What do you need from the team in order to give your best contributions? How will you ensure that all voices are heard? How might you navigate conflict? Please don't agree to disagree, as that enables a culture of independent contractors, and the work of a PLC is true collaboration. How will you encourage listening? How will your group make decisions? What do you expect from your colleagues? Common team norms include allowing a safe place for sharing all ideas, no matter how underdeveloped they may seem, listening with respect, anchoring key decisions in evidence on student learning, not making assumptions about other teachers' beliefs and practices or about their students, keeping the focus on what's best for students. Collectively, we are all responsible for all of the students in our grade or course. Walk away from every meeting with an action step, not only for your group's next meeting, but also something we'll all do or try instructionally. Once norms or protocols are articulated, it's important to hold true to them. How will you ensure that each member of your team will honor your collective agreements? Take a pause and, as a team, consider the commitments you'll make to enrich the synergy of your team. This may take a while, and that's okay. When you've not only developed your norms, but have expressed how you'll advocate for colleagues to honor those agreements, press play to resume. As you forge ahead as a synergistic team, you'll want to consider the work of your group. If we take the lead from Rick DeFore, known internationally for his pioneering work with professional learning communities, you'll focus your conversations responding to these 4 questions. What do we expect our students to learn? How will we know they are learning? How will we respond when they don't learn? And how will we respond if they already learned it? Let's dig a little deeper into those questions to better understand how we may approach them. What do we expect our students to learn? What do the standards really expect of students? What knowledge, skills, and dispositions should each student acquire as a result of this course or this unit? Lean on the standards. They can be Minnesota State standards, they can be ideas articulated from your professional organization, or they can be workplace expectations that dovetail with your content or grade level. For additional support, see the Unpacking Standards video located on this same webpage. How do we know that they're learning? What's the evidence you'll see from students when they are at the appropriate level of mastery? When and how will you collect formative evidence to inform your instruction before the summative assessment? What checkpoints will you use to support a high-level prediction of success on the summative assessment before your students engage with that assessment? How will we respond when they don't learn? Well, how will you know if they're not learning it prior to that summative assessment? And what decisions will you make to ensure that they learn? How will we respond if they already learned it? How will you know if they already learned it before you begin teaching? What decisions will you make to deepen or enhance their understanding? And under what circumstances will you invite students to engage in a different path of learning? Rich discourse will likely prevent your group from attending to each question during a PLC meeting, and the questions aren't linear. You may find that your group needs to dive deep into a conversation about one question in order to be ready to address a different one. By the end of each meeting, determine your next step, not only for the next time your group will come together, but also what are you going to try next with students? Take some time to consider with your group your understanding of the 4 essential PLC questions. What support might you need in order to navigate the productive struggle associated with this work? What questions will you need to percolate about in order to be a productive member of your team? Press pause to engage in a conversation, and when you're ready to resume, press play. The final piece of this video is to consider how your PLC can walk through a process to make progress toward your goal. See the goal setting video for support if needed. Continuous improvement is a never-ending cycle, and while you can find hundreds of different cycles if you Google it, try it, I did, here's a super simple 3-step process. Plan, do, reflect. Plan. This aligns beautifully with the 4 questions addressed previously. To dive a little deeper, consider these questions. What do we expect our students to learn? How will we know that they are learning? How will we know how much progress we've made? What are we planning to try? What might we need to learn in order to inform our plan? And here are some more questions to consider. These also appear in the goal setting video. What are we trying to accomplish? What ideas do we have about the challenges making success difficult? What do we need to know in order to address those challenges? What will we make a commitment to try? What does success look like? How will we know what we've tried is working? What will you be able to observe? What will students do differently? What's the evidence we'll be able to celebrate of the improvement we worked for? How long do we think it'll take to see the evidence? What actions will the educators on my team do with the intention to address the challenge? What will we look for to determine if what we work tried? How will we share with colleagues the evidence we see from students? Do. Give it a try and see what happens. Observe, document, and be ready to share with colleagues what evidence students were able to produce and what you did to produce that evidence. Meeting the goal isn't the only success criteria. When students don't exhibit the evidence you planned for, that's success too. You've learned something that may not work. Experiment and celebrate the try. Celebrate and learn from failure and from successes. Action is essential in the PLC process. We must commit to do something and take the time to refine that action until your group meets again. And finally, reflect. How is it going or how did it go? Is the action plan resulting in the kind of improvement we were intending? How do we know? What amendments might we consider to the plan? How do we anticipate those tweaks will impact the evidence? Consider these questions for an even richer discussion. What did you notice about the effectiveness of the strategies you used? What decisions did you make about how to monitor and adjust? What were some of the things you did that helped your students be successful? What were some of the options that you considered? The next step, back to plan. Did we make the progress we wanted? If so, then what's the next area of growth? If not, then what more do we need to learn? Are we heading into new content or standards? What will we attempt next? Press pause to discuss and reflect on these questions. How does the plan, do, reflect align with our norms? What ideas do we have about how to navigate the steps? How will we ensure that we commit to action as we bring closure to each of our dedicated PLC conversations? Once you've brought closure to your discussion, press play to resume. Thanks for taking time to engage in conversation related to the PLC process. It's important to recognize that the quick hallway chats, lunchroom conversation, and after school debriefs are as meaningful to the continuous improvement process as are the conversations that happen during the dedicated PLC time. Often, those frequent informal conversations provide the foundation for rich discourse with colleagues during your dedicated PLC time. Student success comes down to the day-to-day work we do to influence their success, and the plans that you craft, the strategies you try, and the reflection you engage in matters. Ask yourself, how are you going to grow this year to serve the students in your care even better than you did last year?